Hey everybody, so I'm back. For those of you that are interested in the Savage Core miniatures and game, Lucid Eye Publications has just released not that long ago a little bit of an expansion called the Age of Ice. And so they've expanded upon their existing miniature line, and in some cases they have created alternate factions, which is like what's in front of you are the Amazons Age of Ice, and these are 3 of the bods that you would essentially have. They're like your regular characters, not the bosses, and these are essentially alternates to their existing Amazons. And so you could, which is really nice because I like all of their miniatures, but having these ones for the Age of Ice, if you wanted to do a bit more of an Ice Age sort of feel, you know, with having the mammoths and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of neat. It just depends on what kind of look you want. And so they're really nice alternate sculpts, and you could even really use them together. There's no reason why you couldn't. I looked at these and I really like them, and one of the things that really stood out for me on some of them that I really liked is they have like these pelts that have like little animal heads on them. And so I'll try to show it here, but right here you can see little animal heads like on the shoulder, like that one there, and then as well, I'll try to use a pointer here, you can see a little animal body on the on the fur, which is really kind of neat. And the Amazons are a bit more of a ranged focused faction within Savage Core, so if you like a faction that has the ability to work more ranged combat, then you might like the Amazons. And so yeah, these are the 3 Age of Ice edition Amazons for Savage Core. I'll just do a little quick turnaround here. Okay, and I'm going to come back with more miniatures from the Age of Ice release. So what Lucid Eye has also done is they have released alternate bosses. Now, some of these look clearly to be focused on the Age of Ice release, and it is part of the Age of Ice release, but you could really use, I think, all of these with the original ones too. So in looking at the rulebook, you can play Savage Core with, for your standard faction, like let's say 7 miniatures, 2 groups of 3 bods with a boss. But many people, I think, are probably going to expand to a level up and actually have 14 miniatures with potentially 2 bosses. And this actually gives you the ability to do that. Now, rather than getting duplicate sculpts, which is an option for sure of the existing bosses, you can now vary it and use these new ones that were released with the Age of Ice. So what I'll do, rather than having these guys here and not being able to see the detail, I'll just move these guys a bit so you can see. Here is one for the Atlanteans, which I really like. He looks quite a bit different than the sort of slave master one that I had before, and so it really gives a nice little bit of character. Just to show them next to each other, because I haven't painted this one yet, is they look quite a bit different. So you have like 2 different bosses for the Atlanteans, which is very cool. I really like the way this guy looks. He's pretty large looking, imposing. For the as compared to the other Atlanteans, they all are actually kind of big, but I think he looks really imposing looking as one of the new bosses. So I really quite like that. Also, what I just showed was the Amazons for the Age of Ice, and they have an alternate boss for the Age of Ice Amazons. As I said, you can see the other 3 bods on the Lucid Eye Productions or Publications website, and I'll put a link below for that. But this one looks really, really cool. And so in the Age of Ice garb here. And we also have the Simians have a new boss. Looks a little bit different in style, like kind of a little bit bigger, perhaps, than the other ones. And so, whereas I think the original boss had a very stoic look about him, and he was sort of set apart by that sort of look that he had, very much a leader kind of positioning. This guy just looks like kind of, I don't know, like a berserker. I mean, he's like really kind of a little bit bigger and more barrel-chested, a little bit more gorilla-like, and so he looks very, very imposing, and so very cool miniature. We also have the Neanderthal. This guy's kind of interesting because he's holding a skull in one hand, and he's got the Age of Ice sort of garb. I mean, he's definitely wearing a bit of a cloak. The other ones are too, but he's got a hood over him. He reminds me a little bit of like a wise man, like, you know, kind of like a mage, or like a shaman, I should say. And that's very cool because he just kind of looks different than the other one, who's just more of like a larger, imposing kind of leader, just a little bit different looking, where this one looks like a wise sort of shaman style leader. It's very cool. We have the Cro-Magnons, which I don't have any of the Cro-Magnons yet, and so it's kind of neat just to see this from a miniature sculpt. Sort of like, they look like cavemen, but a little bit less sort of acromegaly than the Neanderthals. A little less Neanderthal than the Neanderthals, I should say. And so, yeah, looks very cool, actually. I think this will fit really well into an Ice Age sort of theme board. So that's an alternate boss for the Cro-Magnons. And lastly, a very impressive sculpt. This is for the Jaguar Tribe, and if you look at this guy's headdress with the feathers and things, it's just really amazing looking. He's got a really cool dagger, like he's got a sacrifice dagger in his right hand, and he's standing very straight up, very commanding. I really like the detail and sort of the headpiece with the painting opportunities with the colors and things. It's going to be really cool with all the detail in it. So those are the Age of Ice releases that I have to show today for the Savage Core game for Lucid Eye Publications. And if you want to check out more, there's more stuff being released that I have not shown here, and you can take a look at that at the link below. Take care.